people that are doing it right, I've got the right teams and the right structures in place. You don't go to your friend for surgery. Yeah. So trying to do it on your own, you don't have the time to be doing the extensive research that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Your clients have already purchased 6 months ago and are now beginning to ride the wave. I bought my first house when I was 22. I ended up going through a relationship breakdown where I actually started my journey again. You don't want to be in the most vulnerable time of your life and having to deal with financial stress.
Jumping in behind the scenes to meet some of the team members at Fouracre Financial and Investigate Buyers Agency is something we're going to be doing from episodes here and there on the Property Nerds show. Now, why do we want to do it? Well, because when you speak to the people behind the scenes, you get to know the difference they're making, the stories of successful investors, what it takes to be a successful investor, and also the mistakes they often see from real lived experience. Now, Sarah on the show is from Fouracre Financial, a mortgage broker that helps clients every single day build and grow their wealth through the right finance structures and the right finance approach. And today's show, she'll be jumping in to unpack some of the things that female investors do really well, where they could be looking at improvements on their journey, but then also she'll be unpacking some of the X factors it takes to achieve success in property investing based on what she's seen and how she helps clients get ahead, alongside some of the mistakes that you want to make sure you avoid, so stay tuned to the end to get some of those learnings. Let's jump into the episode, speak to Sarah from Fouracre Financial, and get on in.
Nerd Alert! Property Nerds, the home for data-driven property investors, where we uncover Australia's hot and cold markets, latest headlines and trends.
Sarah, welcome to the Property Nerds show. Good to have you on.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
You've come all the way from sunny coast, so I appreciate the effort. That's super, super exciting for us to have you here. And I guess for the audience who doesn't know you, you're part of the Fouracre Financial team.
Yes.
And one thing that we're very grateful for, so thank you. But I wanted to know more about, the background for yourself, Sarah, and why you chose this profession in terms of helping others and what you really love about it.
I feel like when you are on a journey of purchasing your first property, it's one of those ones that can be really daunting, but it's also something that you kind of end up achieving a really cool outcome. So being able to help someone go from this goal or this dream of owning their own home or potentially having investment properties, being able to help facilitate that, it's a really cool thing to be a part of. So that for me was probably my biggest driver stepping into this industry, is helping someone achieve a really, really cool goal and a massive life goal. I also feel that we're in a time, especially our generation, where we're actually thinking a lot about our future. And I, being a mum, as I know you guys have children, I'm not quite
Adrian,
sure.
not so much.
Not yet. No children yet. We are thinking a lot about their future as well. And so, again, being a mother, it becomes instinct. You think about, what am I setting my child up for? What am I going to be able to leave behind for them? So, again, being able to create something or help facilitate that for someone else is such a cool, again, another really cool avenue. But lastly, my parents didn't come from a lot either. They worked really hard. I'm very grateful that my mother was always there for us. She was a stay-at-home mother. She put us before, obviously, herself, which is so incredible. But equally, that meant that a lot of what we got as children was very minimal. So going back to being a mum, thinking about being able to provide for my child, is that I want to make sure that we can give him the opportunities that we didn't have, and equally being able to offer that to other people, being able to give them the opportunity to set themselves up and their families up to be able to provide something that they may not have had as well. So that's, when it comes to the financial side of things, that's what I'm really passionate about.
How did you two meet?
How far back do we go?
It was Suncorp days, right?
It was.
Yeah.
So I started in the banking world back in 2010.
Okay.
So that, again, I loved the idea of being able to help people with finance. That was actually one of my very first things. Was I stepped in knowing that I wanted to get, funnily enough, I wanted to get into the home lending side of it. I moved very quickly through that and started going into the home lending side of things, but stepped into the 2IC world. Alongside that, I actually stepped away for a period and went into a world of health and wellness.
Yeah.
And I know that you have been on a journey. I'm familiar with Jack's journey. We discuss it a lot as well. I also saw another side of working with women in that space. Obviously, COVID did things to certain industries, and mine was one of them.
She ran a business for 8 years. Like, she had her
Yes.
own gym for 8 years. It was doing really well.
Yes, yeah. So it was doing incredibly well, but it was one that was impacted heavily with COVID. Yeah. I stepped back and went back into working in the brokering business. I went back into working for Aussie Home Loans.
Yeah.
I was there for a little over 2 years, I think it was, and then fell pregnant. That then led to the decision of going back to work, and do I want to be commuting an hour each way, putting my child in daycare full time? I was very blessed to find an advertisement on Seek that was looking for a remote credit assessor. And for me, that was perfect because I thought it was a great chance to do something that I still enjoy doing, but I didn't have to sacrifice time of traveling an hour to and from.
Yeah.
And
I was the blessed one, by the way. and I understood what she was going through, because we had our first son around the same time Sarah did. So I don't know, I just saw her resume, and, I saw 8 years as a business owner in fitness. Before that was in banking, then, maybe a year or so at a different company doing broking. I was like, not what I'm looking for, but it was worth a chat. And then, 10 minutes into the call, I was like, I must have Sarah. And yeah,
I think you had the contract to me within like 24 hours of that conversation.
Yeah. So it was good.
Oh, that's awesome. And I mean, when it comes from that background, I guess what's really clear, Sarah, throughout your whole journey is there's a focus on wellness, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's understanding family dynamics, whether it's financial now. Like, that really has been a key part of your journey. It's special to see because, one of the big parts of having your voice on the show as well is because we know that there's been such a big impact from your voice and the different people you help from all of those years and even today, whether it's females on their investing journey or whether it's just anyone looking to speak to you and go, well, how can I get ahead with my finances? So just wanted to say thank you for being here again, but also sharing more about your background and history.
Thank you.
Sarah, you've done some really amazing work with all of the clients that we've had, as well as your own clients. And I think that especially in the strategy role, one of the key things that I see differentiates a good strategist from maybe someone who doesn't have that special touch, as you might call it, is that they've been on the journey of investing. Now, I understand you're an investor as well. How has that kind of helped you in how you treat your clients, how you guide them through their journey?
I understand the process. That would probably be the biggest thing, is that it's something that can be really stressful. There can be, because we work with deadlines, people not knowing whether they can do what they want to do, whether they can achieve what they're wanting to achieve. Is it a pipe dream? Is it something that they can actually work towards? Being able to bring them back down when things are getting a little bit, time consuming or it's becoming a bit more of a process that they initially thought, is being able to remind them that this is really common and what we're doing. And it's normal to get nervous. It's normal to be like, is this all going to happen? And just bringing them back down and going, this is really standard. We deal with this every single day.
Yeah.
And being able to share my stories of the things that I've gone through, being able to share. I actually had a client call where she asked me the exact question, tell me your background. I bought my first house when I was 22, I think it was. I now look at the value of that house and I just think we did really well. It was a house that was very dilapidated. It needed some love. We renovated it. We instantly grew equity of $120,000 in the space of about 3 months. It just needed, and it was all cosmetic. It cost us about $30,000 to do it. That ended up going through a bit of a relationship breakdown where I actually started my journey again. My partner and I built the house that we just last lived in. So I went through the whole construction process with that. I can understand like what stages happen and what needs to happen through that process and be able to relate that to clients as well. And we actually grew almost $300,000 worth of equity in that property.
Well done. Unreal.
So we sold that one last year, and we're now in another house where we are renovating. It is, I will have to say, this is a very slow process, but we are pegged to potentially draw out about another $300,000 to $400,000 in equity on that one too.
Well, the paintbrush is definitely your friend, that's for sure, right?
Funnily enough, the paintbrush is my friend. I love it. I find painting, it's one of those things that provides instant gratification.
Yeah.
You have a horrible coloured wall, first coat of paint, looks a little bit better, second coat of paint, it is instant gratification.
Yeah, 100%. Well, you just don't want the little one's fingers all over it though.
Yes.
That must be one of the reasons why it's moving a bit slower this time.
We're painting at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So over the past few years with the clients that you've worked with, what would you say would be some of the good habits that the clients are displaying, and then on the flip side of that, some bad habits that you commonly see?
It's having the right people in your team.
Yeah.
That is the good habit, is making sure that you are connecting with people that do this all the time.
Yeah.
It's like you don't go to your friend for surgery.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's I wouldn't trust some of my friends with that, definitely, that's for sure.
having the right people around you is like having a team.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest things I've seen since working with Jack. Like I said, I did come from another brokerage and it was very different. And what I've learned in the last a little over 2 years, is that it really matters who's on your team.
Yeah.
And that would be equally, it would be the structures. Making sure that the people that are in your team understand the structures that are going to align with your goals. The things that I see not so great are the ones that are going to mortgage brokers or buyer's agents and are simply going, this is what I want. And then in our case, the broker going, here. Not asking the questions, not explaining the pros and cons of doing it in the way that they think they should be doing it.
Yeah.
And having that more holistic approach. People that are doing it right have got the right teams and the right structures in place.
Well, also by doing it that wrong way, people are just trying to do it in a way that's having the least amount of friction.
Yes.
And I think if your conversations don't have friction, there's something wrong. Because if we're doing everything the way that someone just wants and it's just go do this, I want this, well, that means, hey, online banking, just go take over.
Yes.
Right? Or online select your own property, go take over. You're coming for expertise. You're coming for guidance.
Let's be honest, spreadsheet fatigue is real. That's why we introduced ARI, the Advanced Rental Income Calculator by InvestorKit. It's Australia's most sophisticated, user-friendly tool for analysing potential property returns, and it's built to replace all those clunky spreadsheets you've been wrestling with. ARI gives you clear cash flow and growth projections over 10 to 30 years, updates in real time with AI-powered data, and evolves based on your feedback. Whether you're new to investing or scaling up your portfolio, ARI helps you crunch the numbers like a pro. Access it now. Head to investorkit.com.au, link in the show notes.
Now, speaking of guidance and expertise, you also see a lot of females really kick some goals and you work closely with them. But I want to understand, through your passion in helping females also get ahead financially and their well-being in that space, what do you notice some females do better than their counterparts do in certain areas of whether it be money, finances, mortgages? What do you notice they do better?
I would actually have to say it's education.
Okay.
The education. It's those that have actually, again, reached out to the right people or done the reading. It's the ones that go, this is what I want to do and this is what I want to achieve, and actually start educating themselves on the way to do that. And when I say educating themselves, it's listening to podcasts. It's reading what's happening around them and actually reaching out to the people that are doing it. Like that, people that are earning a lot of money obviously have the ability to play a little bit more, but it comes down to educating yourself. So when you are playing with your money, you are investing it in the right places and you're getting the right returns and you are making the right decisions versus someone who maybe is a little bit scared.
So would you say then that's the females that you see and work with showing more humility? Because I almost feel like they're showing more humility and that's why they're going down to realize, I want to get more educated on this.
Yes.
I want to build the right team around myself.
Yes.
I want to get the right help. So then if that's the case for them in terms of what they do really well,
yes,
what do they not do? And this is trying to, jack up us boys. What do they not do as good as the boys do, or as good as the males do?
I wouldn't say it's not as good. I think it's two very different personality types.
Got it.
You've got those that are self-educated, that know that they want to achieve something and they work towards that. And then I feel that there's almost the polar opposite to that, which are those that don't necessarily get involved in the finances.
Right.
And I feel that I've seen it. I have seen it firsthand, and we have had clients that we've been able to help out in circumstances where they've gone through the loss of someone or they are going through a separation and they were never involved with the financial decisions at all. And that's probably the hardest one, is that you want to trust that you're going to have someone in your life forever, and circumstances can change that. You don't want to be in the most vulnerable time of your life and having to deal with financial stress and wondering, can you put a roof over your head? And that's the part that is probably, for me, going, how can I help people getting to that point? How do we stop them from getting to a stage where they don't know if they've got somewhere to sleep that night?
Yeah. You're just highlighting the importance of, okay, I get trusts in relationships or trusts in things is important, but without the right baseline, you're hurting yourself in those what if scenarios.
Yeah.
And that to me is painful to see, because, my mum never learned about any of those things or put time in any of those things, and the trust and everything and all that's there. But it just also means, even if they are together still to this day on this journey, let's just say that, it's the fact that you can't even add any touch into the navigation of it as well. But through that involvement, where I just know how switched on she was in so many other areas of life, if she just had that involvement, even if it's to a certain percentage, not equally, but even a certain percentage, if equally, if not more, depending on what it is, but just even a certain percentage, I think the trajectory of the moves that dad does make and doesn't make would have been a game changer.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's such a valid point.
And sometimes it's very one-guided. It's that the mother or the wife or the female in the relationship looks after, this looks very traditional, but it happens a lot where they're still looking after their household. They're still maintaining, they make the appointments, they do all of the running around and all of that. But I always think about the fact that we never know what tomorrow is going to bring. And you don't want to find yourself in a position where you are navigating a very tough time and you then have to add the financial pressure on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Earlier you spoke to the importance of building a team around you, because I know at your previous company that you worked at, it was more owner-occupier based, and now you're dealing with investors and you've got accountants, buyers agents, trusts, all this. So can you speak to the client, the customer journey when they're working with a buyer's agency like InvestorKit versus doing it on their own?
I just want to go back to, you don't go to your friends to ask for surgery. I've learned so much in this. I really have. I have seen firsthand people go on their own. I've went to real estate seminars, investing seminars. Look, we've probably crossed paths well before our time now at these sorts of events. And there was so much misguided information. I saw people invest in areas where they were investing because the area was popping off because there was a gas line being built. Well, the gas line's finished and there's nothing else happening in that area. It's really important to know what is happening in the areas that you are investing in. And unless you have the ability to sit and research and look at everything, look at what's coming in council. I'm a full-time working person, as I'm sure most of the listeners here are in that same position. You don't have the time to be doing the extensive research that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And we see firsthand the people that work with you purchase a property, 12 months later, they're pulling the equity out, they're going again and they're reaching their goals, 5 to 10 years earlier than if they were trying to do it themselves because they don't have the time to do the research. And a lot of it, by the time the areas that people are investing in pops up in media and people are starting to learn about it, you guys have already done all the hard work. You've got people already in there and you're now looking at the next area that's generating that level of growth. So I've just seen that trying to do it on your own or listening to your neighbour or your uncle at the barbecue, a lot of the times the information is, in our terms, older information. You guys have already found out what's happening in those areas. You know what's coming, and your clients have already purchased, or our clients have already purchased 6 months ago and are now beginning to ride the wave. And they're bringing their goals 5 to 10 years sooner.
Yeah, I mean, like speaking to the point you talk about the research and the time, people don't recognize how far, like even just a degree of separation actually is in even industries. Like to give you some example, we look after near a dozen of the top 100 brokers for their own portfolios. We've looked after some of the top real estate agents and it blows my mind. It just made me realize, like, you know, if the top professionals in their field are in the game of finance and talking numbers, talking strategy, it's the fact that even though they're that close, they're 1 degree off, which is talking about research.
Yeah.
But just because if they move that 1 degree this direction, their finance capabilities, their time to actually help clients out with their loans, their structures, or selling properties, helping more people with their selling their dream homes or selling their homes to upgrade to a dream home, sales agents that is, like all it takes is 1 degree of movement from what they do to something that we do, and they'll lose so much impact, time, effort, outcomes. So it just shows you that, like, by having the right team around you, even though we talk trusts and other things like that with people, the accountant's still the one to give them the deep pros and cons, to lodge the returns, to help them with the setup, to help them with the actual, you know, things that they need to get done. So it's like you need that team around you holistically. So super important.
Sarah, I think it's pretty fair to say that you've had a few client stories from what I've heard today. And I think the one thing that I'd be really curious to hear about is, do you have any standout client stories, good or bad, that you could share, and what were the learnings from them?
The one that come to mind immediately was our situation with a lady who was navigating a separation. Mm-hmm. And that was actually really hard to hear what she was going through. And we worked really closely with her. We looked at different strategies, and she was such a beautiful woman, and I wanted so deeply to be able to help her. And in the end, we were able to. But she was the perfect example of someone who had no experience in purchasing property or being involved. The finances were all held
I know who you're talking about now.
By her husband, or now ex-husband. And it came down to, I think it was about 2 or 3 days out, we managed to find a solution for her, and we got it turned around. And so whilst that wasn't, you know, the nicest experience for her to be going through what she was going through, the outcome ultimately was we were able to help her with that. So that was the first one that came to mind. But equally, the feel-good story is, and you'll probably pick this client up already, we have a beautiful gentleman that I have worked with now he must have been one of my first clients. And when he came to us, he had all of these goals, and I thought to myself, are we going to be able to do this? Actually, there's 2 of them now that I think about it. And it started with purchasing an investment property, and then purchasing one in a trust, and then purchasing a commercial, and then purchasing in an SMSF. And he had these goals of what he wanted to achieve in 5 years. And we've been able to do it for him in 2.
Wow. Power of the team. But I love the vision as well. Like, don't you love it when customers come to you with that much clarity? Like, help me, I'm trying to get here.
Yeah.
So good. Awesome.
And we actually settled on a client yesterday who equally came to us with, I think he had 2 properties in his personal name. He sold a couple of them off to be able to then structure correctly, because that is one of the important things and one of the things that we do really well. We were able to restructure his portfolio, and he's now settled on, I'm pretty sure it's property number 5.
Wow.
And that was yesterday.
Unreal.
A young gentleman as well. So he's setting himself up really, really well.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Love hearing these stories. We're going to have to get some of them onto the show soon, I reckon. That'd be pretty cool. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. It's really special to have the team here at Property Nerds, but also have the audience of the Property Nerds just hear more about behind the scenes of what we do, especially at Fouracre Financial, and the impact that you're making to so many people in their lives and their financial well-being. I think well-being is probably the biggest thing I took out of today, which is the mistakes you can avoid, the strengths that you have that you can lean into and getting educated, but also just from your past and now how much you care about that well-being of others. So it's awesome to see. How can people, though, get in touch with you and speak to you about getting help on growing their finances?
If you go to the Fouracre Financial website and go through the steps there, you'll be contacted by one of our client engagement. If you just let them know that you want to chat to me, they will organise an appointment with me and
Awesome.
we can chat.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Sarah. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. To hear more like this and to help us spread the word, don't forget to leave us a rating and follow along for our next episode.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.
Game over.